shout out to Miss Deborah. Miss Deborah is a queen of all queens. She saw something great in me without knowing a whole lot about me. She pushed me out the nest. Um, I sat in for her show one time, and she told me I would be ready for my own show after I did a couple by myself. But I didn't do any by myself. I just did hers. I sat in for her one show, and here I am. She pushed me out that nest, and here I am, the first day of Encouraging Voices on KAZradio.tv. Now, as we know, what today is the 19 years, 19 years for the tragedies for September 11th. And for most of us, even though we may not have been directly affected by those tragedies, in some way we were still affected. I can remember that day as if it was yesterday. I was at home. I just happened to be off that day. And when I watched the news of those events taking place, fear overcame me because I thought that the world was actually coming to an end that day. But what I believe God needed us to see was that even though those events happened, God needed us to see that He was ready to let us see some new things. And I pray for those families who were directly affected. And I also pray for each one of us who were not directly affected. And now we have this epidemic, this pandemic going on, COVID-19. Again, the nation is affected by this pandemic. But again, if we don't want to believe that God is who He is, we will continue to let the enemy come in to destroy what God is preparing us for the other side of this storm. So if you're watching, if you can, just take a few minutes or just a few seconds to honor God for who He is, because you are here for a reason. If you survived up until, what's this, September? This is September, and this pandemic has taken the lives of innocent people. Again, a lot of folks may not have been directly affected, but it's time for us to really pray and honor God for who He is, because these things happen for a reason, and we have to stay connected to our source of life. And our source of life is God. God has everything we need to get through this life. Again, today is just an amazing day, not just for myself, but it's an amazing new day for a lot of people. Again, those events that took place 19 years ago, a lot of people had to make major adjustments to their life. Major adjustments. And again, this pandemic, we also have to make adjustments to our life every day. You know, the government has us walking around with masks on, and we have to clean our hands and, isolate ourselves. Those are major changes that we have to make. And if we are not careful, I believe it's the enemy that's trying to come in and just take away what God has promised each one of us. And that's why we are here today. If we're not careful to know and see that the enemy is trying to manipulate us into just slipping into his territory, we have to be careful. So I would like to take this opportunity, just to encourage each one of you who is watching or listening. Just encourage yourself. And that's how God put the title, Encouraging Voices, because encouraging comes from within. It comes from within. You have to encourage yourself to know that God is the greatest of all great. And if you do not encourage yourself, you are, or you will be easily manipulated to believe anything that comes your way. So if you don't stay connected to your higher power, then you will become a victim of the enemy. And we all know the enemy is out to kill, to steal, and to destroy. So stay connected. Stay connected to God. Stay connected to God, and God will give you everything you need. And what I would like to share, I didn't bring one with me. Again, those tragic events that happened 19 years ago, it scared me. I was at home crying because I didn't know what was going on. And I was at home by myself. I was scared, didn't know who to call or anything. I was just at home alone crying because I thought the world had came to an end. But 19 years later, even though I wasn't acknowledging God like I should have been 19 years ago, God was still with me. And what I would like to share, some of the accomplishments that I had throughout those 19 years. 19 years ago, I did not have a thought in my mind to write a book. No thought whatsoever. But I recently published a book. I didn't bring any with me, not by myself. And it's about my experience of abuse, surviving abuse. And that's why I no longer call myself a victim. I am a survivor of abuse. And even though those things happened to me, there were a number of things that continue to happen throughout my life, and God was there. God was there. We may not know if he's there. We may not always feel his presence, but if we get through the day, in our right mind, we have to acknowledge God for who he is, because the enemy will attack you whenever and however. And, I recently found out that a relative of mine, my cousin, one of his baby girls, 24, I think she was 24 years old. She went to sleep on earth and she woke up in heaven. That type of pain, I don't know how I would handle it, but again, that's tragic. And another one of my ex-coworkers, she just retired less than 2 years ago, and she went home to glory. So we never know when God will show up and take us by the hand and let us know he has a bigger assignment for us. That pain, like I said, I can't imagine that pain of losing a child. But if you're here and you don't know God the way you should know him, if you don't know how to pray, just open your mouth and just talk. He'll hear you. Open your heart and let him, just let him dwell in your heart, because these days they're tragic. These are the days that the enemy is really trying to take us out. And God needs you. God really needs you to do what he promised. Everything is for God. And if you just let God come into your life, I can honestly say it won't be easy in the beginning, but you have to stay connected. You have to stay truthful to God. You have to believe in his word. And the most important thing is to surround yourself with positive people. Everybody is not going to understand your new walk if you decide to walk with God and let God take over. A lot of people may not understand your purpose of changing your life, and it's not up to you to explain anything to them. In your heart, you know that you are ready to live for God, and you just follow his will, and it's going to be challenging. You have a lot of Christians, they walk around, they just make it look easy, living righteous. They make it look easy, but it's challenging. Every day we are tested and tried, not just in our spiritual, but we are tried mentally, because we are surrounded by toxic people and toxic and negative situations. So we have to stay mindful and we have to stay connected. So if you haven't began your walk with God, there is no greater time than today. Not later on this evening. There's no greater time than right now. Just connect with God, because again, we have all of these things going on, and with the Black Lives Matter and everything. To me, every life matters. Every life matters, including yours. And it's time to stay connected, get connected, and stay connected to your higher being, because if you don't, the enemy will come in and he will just take you out. He will take you out. And it's easy because, again, Christians, they make the walk look easy, but it's not easy at all. It's not easy. So what I do in the morning before my feet hit the floor, before I open my eyes, I'm in prayer. That's how I get my day started. Then I pick up my word. I read my word. I pray and ask God to lead me to a word where I could just have something to snack on. I call it my AM breakfast. I have something to snack on throughout the day, which is a word that I ask him to put on my heart. So it's so many ways to get started. As we see, a lot of the churches now are closed, but church is in you. Church is in you. And once you get fed the word, God will do the rest. He will do the rest. You just have to be patient. He needs you to be patient. And he will supply every need. Every need. So today, another thing I would like to share is how I didn't expect to get the support that I'm receiving from some of my ex-coworkers. And I just, I thank God for each one of them. I thank God for each one of them, because once I let them know what my walk was and what my passion was and why I decided, it wasn't really a decision, it's why I followed God when I resigned from my 20-year position. Once I let them know, the support it was overwhelming. The support was overwhelming. So I have a few people who said they will come on the show with me. And it's about being who you are, believing in your purpose that God has for you, and you will draw the right people to you who will just want to walk with you along your journey, because you're actually encouraging one another. You're encouraging each other. So if you're afraid to step out on faith and you see someone else stepping out on faith and you see that they are strong and they're patient in their walk, they'll show you that you can be encouraged to do the same thing. Your dream, your vision, and your purpose may not be nowhere near theirs, but once you see someone else step out on faith and follow their dream and believe in their purpose that God has for their life, you can do the same thing. So again, that was the other thing I wanted to share. And again, today, 911, I didn't want to just talk about anything tragic. I wanted it to be uplifting, because I know they have a lot of information out there already talking about September 11th. And this is a time to just encourage and uplift spirits, just to let people know that, because tragedy happens, that doesn't mean your life has to end. It's actually the beginning of a new day and a new life. Just have to make sure you stay connected to God. Stay connected to God and let Him walk you through your purpose. Now, I have a scripture that I like to share. I believe it's 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse number 17. And I can't think of it right offhand, but that was my word for the first day of this year. And the one single word that I used, and I used that for the first 45 days of the year, was the word new. It was the word new, because I didn't know what 2020 held for me. So that word was new. And I would pray and ask God to show me some new things. And he said, whatever I show you is going to be unfamiliar. And I said, okay, Lord, I'm ready for it. I'll be ready for it. And here it is, this brand new walk, a new podcast, live podcast. I do YouTube videos, but this podcast, live podcast, is just something brand new for me. So again, when you ask God for something, you pray for it, be ready for it, because he answers prayers. Sometimes he may not answer right away, or he might give you a no. But when you pray for something, just be ready to receive it, because if it's for his glory, he will do it. He'll do it. And again, this is something I didn't see myself doing 19 years ago, or even 5 years ago. I would always imagine just speaking in front of people, but I never imagined having a live podcast or writing a book. It was just always a thought. But thoughts becomes action, especially if it's something positive. If you want your life, if you want to be greater today than you were yesterday, you have to put your thoughts in action. But you have to be connected to God in order to stay focused, because if you want to be great, you have to be great in God, because God is great and he will give you everything you need so that you can be great in him. These are not the days to be afraid of anything. And if you are afraid, it's nothing but the enemy trying to trip you up. So by all means, read the word, make that your daily habit. For some people, they may have a difficult time understanding the word, but they have audio Bible. I love audio Bible, because sometimes I read the word and I may not understand it, but it gives me a different meaning. When I do audio, I'll let the narrator read, and then I'll just imagine it in my mind, and it gives me a new meaning of that word. So there's a lot of ways to learn the Bible, not just by trying to read it on your own or someone else's interpretation, but just listen to audio and just imagine the story that the narrator is sharing, and just imagine it in your mind. And that's how you can learn and understand the Bible, because the word, we have a lot of people who just don't believe in the Bible. And I just pray, even if they don't believe in the Bible, just believe in God, because God is real. God is real. He will show you everything. If you have to stay connected. You have to open yourself up to receive. It'll be a yay, it could be a nay. If it's a no, just receive it, because God is not going to tell you yes to everything. He's not going to say yes. He'll tell you to wait. And when he says no, it's for your own good and it's for your own purpose, because if you're praying for something and you don't get it right away, sometimes we make bad decisions to go out because we don't know how to be patient. We go and make decisions, and then those decisions turn out to be the worst decisions, and then we have to fix those, and then we go back to God and say, Lord, can you fix this? When all he said to do was be patient. I hear your prayers and I'm going to answer, but God answers in his own timing. So for us not to be patient with God, we're going to always make bad decisions. So today, pray, be patient, and believe that God will come through. He's going to answer your prayers, and just be patient with him. Don't look for your answer right away, because you might not get it. And then when you do get it, be ready for it. You got to be careful what you pray for, because what you pray for, you will receive it, or you might receive something greater. So you have to be ready for whatever it is you pray for. These times is pandemic, and I thank God for each one of you who have made it through to this point in this year. I just thank God for you, because the enemy could have came in and just destroyed you, and that was his intention. And I just thank God that he covered you. He covered each one of us. And I pray that God will continue to cover us for the rest of this year, or whatever God has planned for us. And I know he has something great for us. Again, this is Lanatha J. I have a podcast, an audio podcast on anchor.fm, and you can find me there. It's just the Lanatha J Show. I also have a YouTube channel, Lanatha J, where I have a few videos that I speak on in regards to abuse, because I love to say this word, I am a survivor, and the journey God has me on is being an advocate, being a voice for men who suffer from abuse. So you'll hear me speaking a lot about abuse, surviving abuse. I might throw some information in there in regards to bullying and mental illness, because all of those things fall under the same umbrella. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, again, it's at Encouraging Voice. So you can follow me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, Peaceful Spirit, because God gave me the spirit of peace. I needed the spirit of peace in order to do the work that he called me to do. So you can look for me on those channels, Twitter at Encouraging Voice. You can look for me on Facebook, again, as Peaceful Spirit, and YouTube, Lanatha J. And I thank God for Mr. Larry again for making room for me to be a part of KAZradio.tv. And this special shout out again to Ms. Deborah Wright, Our Lady Parablist. She is such a blessing. She is a blessing, because she saw something in me without knowing a lot about me. And she pushed me out the nest and told me to go ahead and soar. And here I am. I am soaring like an eagle. Thank you all. Thank you. I just want to keep you all in prayer, let you know I'm praying for you. And go out there. Don't just be a blessing. Be blessed. Thank you all. This is Lanatha J of Encouraging Voices.